Yes.
Parts of that song.
There's
Yeah.
to that song.
That was that song, like she's only 17?
Yeah, Winger.
Winger.
Her favorite
Winger.
song.
Wow.
I met Kip Winger in Austin.
No way.
Yeah, he played with a friend of mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he continues to have the best teeth in the business.
Didn't see that coming. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
You know, when I think of Winger, I just think of Beavis and Butthead making fun of Winger. It's like that Winger video. Yeah. That sucks.
Beavis and Butthead have made a comeback because of SNL.
You gotta love that.
Oh my god.
Dude.
That's true.
Yeah.
What was the theme of that song? She's only 17. Was he like kind of was it borderline?
Well, you know, in some states,
This can't be any worse than Kiss's big hit, Christine 16.
Yeah.
When I saw her coming out of the school that day.
Yeah. Or the Runaways Cherry Bomb.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
no.
Great way to start the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Fix all this in post.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
No, sorry, there's no such thing.
So basically, we're just the world made up of rock bands talking about underage girls is what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
I think, but it got started with Buddy Holly, I believe.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where's that?
Really going into the toilet very early on in the show. Hey, welcome everyone to IoT Coffee Talk.
Yes.
Don't
Okay.
take anything seriously.
Bring it back on the rails.
Just transport ourselves back through time and start this up, kind of like not Beavis and Butthead, but like Wayne's World.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we got to bring back that intro. We have an episode where we did that, right? We did
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Wow. Love that.
what is this? This is like episode 210. Can you believe that?
Yikes.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That means we got a whole lot of nothing going on.
Yeah. I mean, I can already tell this is really we're going to need to make our disclaimer right now before we
Probably
get
should have done it already.
some deep.
Yeah.
So
NC-17
Number one.
rating.
yeah, remember, take us seriously at your own risk, please. We're just here having fun, and we also have an underlying intent to be informative and insightful. But first and foremost, we're about charity and helping to bridge the digital equity divide through Elevate Our Kids. Yeah, I was about to say children. At elevateourkids.org, where we are buying laptops and giving them to kids in underserved and unserved communities. There's still a lot of them out there. And so we're trying to help all of these kids engage in a digital future that we all look forward to with AI and chatbots and all this wonderful generative AI stuff. So, you
I'm
don't
not looking forward to it.
yeah. And they need to be able to do all this on device to protect their privacy.
There you go.
Please.
Maybe you could put tiny ML on your device with a
there you
small language model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the little logo there. I'm loving
Getting
that.
official here.
And better, a small multimodal model.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, with the
Completely private.
Advent and everyone, it's funny.
At
how
the edge.
Everyone
At the
has
edge.
to have like the exact same timing and announcing the same thing within days of each other. You know, you had OpenAI introduce, you know, what it was that
Her.
GPT
Her.
4.0.
Her.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
So I think we called that, didn't we?
Where she's now suing them for using her voice and.
Yep.
Oh, she is. She is. And you know what?
I've got Scarlett right here.
Yeah.
That's my pocket.
Frankly,
Do you
more
think that was? Do you think that was just a PR ploy, right, to raise?
regardless.
Do you think they?
Regardless.
Very clever, Tom.
Well,
Could be.
I really think,
Yeah.
I really think Sam, this is his only way of getting close to Scarlett Johansson. No. And what's really scary is that right now there's like a humanoid bot robot in his house that looks strikingly like her, and they're having conversations right now.
There you go. I mean, seriously, you know, in Japan, you know, you can make those robots, those animatronic robots.
Yeah, no, they're making them.
Kind of likeness, you know. So
Bring him home to mommy.
yeah, hey, here's my girlfriend, and she wouldn't know any different.
Well, I mean, we
She's
got
only
companies-
17.
Wow, you have really nice skin. What kind of
Yeah.
stuff do you use?
I mean, we've already got companies out there. There's girlfriend.ai, there's partner.ai.
Oh, it's probably one of the hottest growth areas of generative AI is the companionship scenario.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know,
Where
a lot more high growth
technology
than
always
Copilot
starts.
Plus, but that's a whole other
You're
story.
right, Eric.
Yep.
You're right.
Internet. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my
Hey, Debbie.
Data
Thanks.
Diva is joining.
Hey, gents. Hey, gents.
Hey.
Hi, Debbie.
No.
You know, you sound like Samantha. It's too creepy.
Oh, Lord.
Are you gonna come on? We have to see your face to make sure that you're real and you're not just an AI chatbot.
Oh, my goodness.
See?
I have a face for radio today. I've been up. I had to speak at a conference at 3
We
a.m.
all do.
Oh
Don't
my
you worry.
goodness.
this morning.
all do.
And then I
Oh,
just got
you
off
know
the
what?
phone with someone in
That's going to be
Paris.
the next CAPTCHA. Is turn on your camera so I can see that you're a human.
Yeah. Well, that may not even be enough, right?
It may not be enough. You're right.
True.
Coming soon to a Microsoft PC.
Mm.
You know,
Right.
Copilot Plus. Copilot Plus.
this,
Wow.
Complete history.
How do I prove
That is crazy.
You know, I did check the valuation of my Windows 7 physical hard disks. It's just hockey stick right now. I'm going to make millions.
Mm.
You're like, I want to downgrade. I want to
Yes.
give me Windows 10 and before.
Are you saying that you're not a fan of recall?
Total
Yeah.
recall.
And
Where we're going
you
to
know,
copy everything, screenshot everything you do forever? Wow. I don't know. You know,
I'm good.
I hate that. I hate that. I don't like it. Right. So my tinfoil hat people, you know, it started bringing those, you know, it put up the
Alarm
red
bells.
flag. We're like, wait a minute. We don't like this. We don't like this.
yeah. Well, this is a tinfoil hat group right here, actually.
Mm.
You know,
Here's the interesting thing about it, though, is if you have a Mac, the backup mechanism is called Time Machine, right? And so
Time Machine's been around for a long time, a decade.
yeah, and it also takes up crap tons of your storage if you have it, going on in the background unfeathered, like going nuts.
unfeathered.
Unfeathered. Unfeathered.
you got plucked.
Hey
I
guys,
prefer my chicken unfeathered.
I got like 4 hours of sleep. I got 4 hours of sleep because my
We know what you mean.
son
You know, Leonard, but you can refeather and tether your Mac to an external hard drive and just let Time Machine run
is
over
what
there.
I was going to use that word. And by the way, I'm losing my vocabulary, and I blame it on my smartphone.
Yeah. Well, you're going to lose the other half now with your AI PC.
But I mean, it's like basically putting a LLM on top of your
Time Machine.
yeah, and then doing queries off of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is super creepy, and it's like I don't get it. It's like give me search that works, on my personal devices that
Right.
are indexed on my content, so that I don't have to search through all these documents that are poorly indexed and
Give me search that works, but also help me.
everything that I do. That's like
I think it should also help not only do a better search, but also help me as a human deliver a better query to what I'm looking for. I was having this chat with my 8-year-old yesterday as she's Googling, because Googling is a verb, but she was just looking for information on first, second, third, and fourth degree burns. And her query was skin burns. And before she hit enter, I'm like, wait, what are you doing?
Yikes.
It's like, well, I need to learn about all these things. I'm like, okay, but then if you just ask to me skin burns, I have to guess what you're trying to say. So all this to say, yes, give us better search, but when we're used to it, because you could type skin burns enter and we got a ton of results.
You get Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Burns. What about Mr. Burns?
Or Mr. Burns.
Yeah, that's true.
Excellent.
You know what? I guess this has been going on a while. Pete will probably remember when we were at Microsoft, we built an operating system we called Longhorn for a while, at least. And one of the features is we were using like it was a new WinFS, this like new file system. It was almost like, let's use SQL Server database as the new file system. Obviously, that ended up not shipping, but the idea was it was way more queryable. And, it was just a different way of storing files rather than your typical file system.
I think the new feature they needed to introduce was not rewind, but fast forward. So I want to predict the future a month from now. What is on my PC a month from now, and have generative AI just create that based on my past.
I just thought of the prediction, Pete. The prediction, it shows you a video of police breaking down your front door, coming into your office, seizing your computer.
We need a fast forward feature.
Minority Report.
Yeah.
I think Neuralink went up for trial.
What?
I think we'll have this soon.
Delete in the future. I want all those other things that I normally deleted.
Gee.
I think, Steve, you need to tweak your microphone or something.
You're a little far from here.
Did you see they unearthed the original search engine, Archie? They found Archie and they reinvigorated him.
Really?
Yes.
What?
So Archie was way back in kind of the dawn of the internet era.
Yeah.
The internet's first search engine, rescued and running.
Where did they find him? Next to us,
they found him they had lost him, and they found like a beta version of him somewhere and brought him back to life just for history's sake.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves, all those good ones.
Yeah.
Yes. I used to use Alta Vista.
I remember Archie.
How old I am.
Gosh.
InfoSeek.
InfoSeek, Ink2Me.
Those were all my clients back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, I got to see all the dirty stuff in the back end of all this stuff.
Was Google a client?
No.
Well, it's probably not a good endorsement for your services.
All of that. Google was just up and coming at that point because
they were nobody.
They were
like the 20-ton gorilla in the room at the time. Yahoo. Remember?
Yeah, Yahoo.
Remember them?
Yeah.
They're still around. They're still around.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves. They were a client of mine.
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
I worked at the campuses that became Yahoo, but they were originally the Gap out in San Bruno.
Oh, the Gap.
The Gap.
Debbie, Debbie, I'm glad you brought up Ask Jeeves because they were like supposedly the first natural language query search.
Yeah, that was their shtick.
Yeah, that was their whole.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They had a good idea. They definitely had a good idea.
Yeah.
And,
and at the time I thought they were going to disrupt, and
that's what I thought. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought. Absolutely.
Well, so that's an issue where the product truth doesn't meet the marketing, unfortunately.
So back then, all the search engines were based on your web page. You put all your keywords at the top, and what was
the tags?
The tags. So basically, they're all just indexing that. Yahoo was the only one that was different. It was human curated.
Yeah.
And then, Google was like, let's not use any of that stuff and let's do it based on how many people are linked to your site to show how awesome you are, which was a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yahoo is shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking where they were. They're like the BlackBerry, I guess, of like the internet. I just don't know what happened with them.
Oh, geez.
You know what's equally shocking, Debbie, is that Steve Ballmer wanted to buy Yahoo for a while.
I remember that. It was
For a
like
lot of money.
2000s. Billions. It was Microsoft was building out their ad muscle, and they, thank God, passed on Yahoo. But
and who bought them?
Verizon, wasn't it?
Ow!
Yeah.
Yikes.
Verizon. Ouch.
But
the only thing worse than buying that would be like buying, I don't know, AOL or something.
I was about to say, remember AOL?
People still have AOL.
It's one of the.
They do.
AOL.
My mom.
It's coming back.
But it's one of those stories of products that don't ship because, at the time, Yahoo had so much individual browsing history, browsing behavior on millions of consumers. And then there's a mobile network database that can match a consumer mobile habits to browsing habits. But now we have micro-location. And there were so many discussions of how it could be monetized. Like if you were a retailer, you want to open up shop where you have a lot of traffic. Well, what a trove of data if someone can tell you, hey, the people in Eric's age group, live in this part of New York City, and they look for these shopping things when they're going online. So I would put a Gap, not a Nordstrom's on 42nd and Broadway sort of thing. But there were a lot of privacy issues, and that thing, it came cycles and cycles and cycles, and nothing shipped. There was never a merger of those two databases. Maybe it was a bad idea, or maybe people couldn't find their way out of a paper bag. I don't know.
I think it's that the paper bag thing, or they didn't know how to use the ETL system to move databases. I don't know. It's like, come on, people.
Hey, ETL is not that easy. People think that that's so easy.
Drag and drop this table in this database to this one.
You gotta know which database, which table, and what the.
It has the cool graphical, has the line. It goes arrow. Yeah.
Come on,
I think it was fear, Rob. I think because it's like in the early days. Here's the thing: like 15 years ago, that probably sounded scary. That there could be a database that has all these behavioral predictions from you.
Yeah.
But look where we are now. It's on every app. All this data is out there.
Look where we are now. We are in an episode of Black Mirror, and we didn't realize
Look
it.
where we're going.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times people talk about, the future being like 1984. I'm like, we're going like way past that. Like way past.
2084.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're right.
She's
shocked. Ridiculous.
The data diva is mesmerized. You're like friggin' just going, oh my goodness. But hey, you know what, Debbie, I wanted to ask you a question. We have the data diva on. This is like friggin' awesome. And it's very unfortunate because there's a bunch of dudes and you're like the only one that is representing diversity, gender diversity, and we can't see you. But anyways, we have.
I'm a Black woman for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh,
brown all day long from birth.
All day long. It doesn't switch off or anything.
But what are you hearing like? How much are we looking at folks scraping the dark web to create marketing data?
Oh, everything, anything, any shred, any ounce of data about you, they're going to try to use it because it doesn't have to be accurate for them to sell it, right? They just want to sell it to you, right? So if they sell you 100 data points and only one or two of them is accurate, I mean, they're still going to get that money for all the things that they gave you, right? And so that is the reason why these ad revenue markets work really well for companies to sell it, because they don't really have to be super accurate. But when they are accurate, it's scary. Accurate in bad ways, right?
Yeah. When they're inaccurate, it's scary.
Yeah.
Totally.
When they're
I still get congratulations on your IoT Woman of the Year awards, which they know something I don't know. My wife is shocked.
That could be an episode. That could be an episode right there.
It could be a series, David.
It could be a whole series.
It could be.
Yeah.
Debbie, so you mean to tell me that list of influential CEOs, their emails, last four of the Social Security that I get offered for $29.99 is not all accurate?
No. Some of
Man.
them maybe. Some of them
You got to stop paying.
You don't know
for it,
which
David.
ones are accurate. That's the
Stop
issue.
paying for it. And
Yeah.
stop emailing me for crying out loud, David.
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
they basically spray and pray, right? So they'll, and there's a whole underbelly of like fake websites, click farms, where they'll sell you ad revenue, but it's really going to this faceless website that nobody but bots visit, right? But you don't know that. You can't visit millions of websites, but those numbers look good on pages, right? So they like to mesmerize people. Oh, look at all the places your ad was placed, and most of them are not even being seen by humans. The funny thing is, so I don't know if you know Dr. Augustin Fu. He's like an ad fraud person. And he teaches, I think he teaches in New York at a university. But one thing that he said, he asked the students, he's like, list out 10 websites that you go to every day. And he said most of the students can't even list 10, right? That they go to every day. And it's like, when you think about that, you're like, so why are there these gazillion websites?
Oh my God.
Like, we're only going to a few websites, literally, but there are like a gazillion websites. And who's on them? Like, nobody's on them. Like, bots are on them.
Yeah.
AI is on them, not real people.
Yeah.
So I think that what the ad people want is, what they really, really want is to find out if you're a real human, right? And that's going to be hard because they're like, does this person have money? Is this person as a real human that can spend money on the thing that I want to sell them? And so, but they're going to throw you a lot of junk for you to be able to get those few people, real people, who really want the thing that you want to sell.
Yeah. Wow. And you know what's crazy? I mean, we always talk about dirty laundry stuff. That's like the ultimate dirty laundry. This whole digital marketing ecosystem that you're talking about, the underbelly, it's all this. I mean, it's like crypto. It's just, they're just making stuff. All
right,
totally.
let's stir the pot here. Debbie, you brought up ads and websites. We've seen so many tech launches and things over the last few days, last weeks or whatever, and I'm wondering, ads on the web, like everybody else, Google did their big thing, their Google I/O, and when you're doing a Google search or anything now, it's all this AI stuff and it's coming up. Is Google's own AI going to destroy its primary business of AdWords? I mean, selling AdWords, ad placement on links on a web page is how most people are driving traffic to their sites. And if all of a sudden everything is like a query to an AI thing, is that gonna disrupt or destroy their primary borderline only business? I'm just throwing this out.
I think they're gonna always find a way to make money. The thing that they're doing with their privacy sandbox, where they're basically breaking apart the pieces or making it harder, creating more friction for these companies that want to be able to get data from them. And so they're giving them data in chunks or pieces so that they can't really, it makes it harder for them to try to fingerprint and figure out who it is that they are actually targeting, right? So basically it's kind of a grab bag of advertising. So I I think companies should be concerned because if people are interacting with Google instead of you and your site, they may never go to your site, right?
Right.
Or they'll be
Might get
like
the answer they need, and that's the end of it.
like Amazon, where you pick a product and it's like, hey, somebody else has a better price. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they'll do that. I think that's definitely a concern. I think what they're trying to do means, in my view, that they're going to have to change their business model.
Yeah.
Because what they really want to do is take as much or get as much information from people so that they don't have to rely on these other sites. Does that make sense? So, and they tried to do this before, then it wasn't successful. I can't remember what the feature was called, where they try to do some type of summary of what you try to look for before you got onto the page. And that was like kind of controversial from a privacy perspective, but then also the companies that were buying these ads were also upset. They're like, hey, we want people to click through to our site, not to your little quasi web page. But what they want to do is they want to know more about you. And so if you're interacting with them in these little AI spaces, all they're doing is adding all that to adding information that they would not have ever gotten about you to what they already know about you.
I mean, I think a lot of the whole AGI play and what OpenAI is doing is really sort of a disintermediation play. But I think Google has a lot of defenses and technologies that they can work with to basically pivot themselves. So, and that's an unusual situation, right? I mean,
I just don't know what, I'm just, we're all experiencing it. You're on your phones or on the web and you ask Google for something and now you get this, and it's going to answer your question. And then it's not about links and it's now about page rank. And so if I'm a business owner and I'm trying to drive traffic and I'm paying money for AdWords, and you don't get sent to my page, instead AI is answering some kind of question, I might be feeling like, wow, there's no love.
I think it's going to get a lot more obtuse. Instead of maybe buying physical AdWords, you're saying, I want this outcome, and then Google will do what it needs to do to give you that outcome. You'll pay for the outcome as opposed to the AdWord. But also, I think once, go ahead.
Yeah, it'll be something like almost like LinkedIn did. Remember how LinkedIn used to say, hey, this many people clicked on your thing. Now they say, oh, you got impressions, whatever the hell that is, right? So maybe they'll say, well, when the person clicked, we could have showed them your ad. It's a possibility we showed them your ad, but you're going to pay us for that anyway, right? So it does get a lot more ambiguous in the favor of Google, right? Where they can say, well, we can still make you pay for it, even though we're going to give you kind of less, it may be less accurate or more
less results.
I think what they're going to do is come up with maybe a new metric. That says, hey, you could have gotten shown to these people. Maybe you pay us more. We'll actually, have people click through or something like that.
Isn't this the beginning of the end of the web page?
Could be.
At the end of the day, this is all about data. And if AI is going the direction, it's going to accelerate. In 10, 20 years, we'll be laughing that we were looking at web pages, right? We're just going to be talking to intelligent machines, and they're going to be giving us answers, and we're not going to be reading it on a web page.
You might have like agents talking to each other, right? So that might be the next gen but those are your agents, and
they're Eric's agents.
At the end of the day,
Agent Fury. And
as Debbie would say, all this is the web page is data, right? We're just crawling data, and very few people are actually looking at web pages, and so it's an input mechanism. And over time, we just start getting it from a different source. We stop tagging web pages and putting words on web pages, and we're talking to AI.
If you're asking your agent for I want a vacation in this place, and here's my criteria, show me some areas, instead of you looking at the resort webpage, it may bring up that stuff for you and, and then book stuff on your behalf. So instead of you browsing I mean, part of it is, like, I think people don't always know what they need, what they're looking for, and so they want to be browsing too. So I think there's still going to be that. But personal agency for AI is probably the next great leap. That an agent that can transcend screens and devices on my behalf.
Eventually, I'm just scraping. Right. I'm just scraping photos from people posting from different locations around the world, and drawing from all this data, and it all curates it and comes up with a synopsis on here. Look, here's, you want to go to Belize? Here's all the good things about Belize.
Yeah.
I'm going to play out a typical scenario at a day in the life at Clearblade. Eric goes in and talks to the chief marketing officer. Hey, we just won some kind of Edge award or something. I need you to buy some AdWords related to edge computing, and so that we can pull people in and gravy train on this award. And then edge AdWords don't work anymore, and it sends you to somebody else or something. I don't know.
But Rob,
well,
on that point, I think something that might be needed is the needs of a eyeball to clear blades is very different than the need, say, of, I don't know, New Era hats on the website. Like the amount, I think that there is some validated marketing science that talks about, hey, if you saw New Era hats, Major League players, and you're like, okay, you're going to buy this thing at some point. So there could be a value of eyeballs or impressions for this. But I think we almost need like a new financial model where for Eric and team to pay for human click through, not just an eyeball. And that model doesn't really exist. The way you buy Google AdWords as New Era will be the same as Clearblade. And the results are hit or miss. There's no warm lead coming in from Google.
Right. Well, that's where I think it needs to be more outcome based, right? So if Eric's won this award, said, I want to promote that we won this award to my target audience, and then that's the statement.
Yeah.
And Google or Microsoft or someone will come up with the right placement of the right stuff to get that. And you hopefully would pay on the outcome. But
Pete, you're right. But today there's no automated way to do that.
No, there isn't. No.
Someone at Clearblade to come with account-based marketing, right? And say, okay, we got this award. Why did they get it? Okay, who's the target audience? Okay, hey man, there's 79 companies that match this thing, and we're gonna do this very specific campaign, specific messaging with the right words. Now let's buy it, and now we do a little bit of praying or hollering or whatever it is that you do to evoke search results.
Eventually, we just get an AI to do my job, and we do way better as a company because the AI is much smarter than I am, and then I can go to Belize and let the AI do its thing.
I noticed that AI has been saying it doesn't believe Aaron Alsbrook when he's posting stuff anymore. It's like, that's not Aaron. That's not Aaron.
Well, it's because of the haircut.
It's because of the haircut. You need to call Aaron. He needs to get on here. We need to tell him.
We do.
You need to grow the long hair.
Intervention.
Just no one knows who you are.
Oh, so hey, I used GPT-4, and I asked it to summarize some of my stuff, right? Just with it. And it was hilarious. It literally regurgitated exactly the same thing back. I mean, I'm just.
At least it was accurate.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the bar is like so low, and that's the problem. It's like, I think the problem is people. It's not the technology. We're just low.
No, it's the technology.
What?
It's the technology.
I think right. I think the problem is the people, right? Because I know we're all talking about how, oh my goodness, AI is going so fast. It's going to be, so accurate. It's going to take over human stuff, and it's going to be sentient. Well, that's never going to happen. But it doesn't really need to be sentient to be dangerous, right? It just needs someone who thinks it's sentient to abdicate their human judgment to it.
Useful.
We're already there, right? We're there now, and that's a problem. Especially I see people, hey, let's let AI cure cancer. Like, you don't need to see a doctor. Just look at a chatbot, Leonard. Let them tell you all wrong stuff, and it's all good. And you're gonna take all the liability. And so I think, like, we're there now. We're there now. It doesn't even have to be better. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, people
Yes.
are already. This is like, to me, this is like not novelty, parlor trick, carnival shit.
Yeah. I'm glad that you.
She just made
glad that you said it's not going to be sentient. All this AGI talk makes me a little bit crazy. We don't even understand how the human brain really works, and we're starting to talk that we're approaching AGI. Give me a break. We're nowhere close to that.
Yeah.
It's math, folks. It's math.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell people, just because a hammer is better at putting a nail in the wall than it is for me to do my bare hands doesn't mean that a hammer is smarter than me.
Right.
Oh my God, that's a quote of the year right there.
There you go.
It is.
That's like golden right there.
What's going on in the UK, Tom?
Yeah, I was just about to say we're synchronized, dude. This guy didn't say a word, and that's illegal. What's up, man?
Well, do you know what? I was actually going to comment on what David just said about the kind of ad revenue and the whole kind of complex situation about how you would fund this moving forward, right? But it seems to me the simplest way to do it is if someone's typing in a query into an AI language model, and let's say they talk about holidays, the simplest way to monetize that is to have 50, 75 firms that have paid for their names to come up, right? So in that free version of that language model, and then you get directed to their website or to their blogs, to their material, and say you're paying for the language model, then you get a more agnostic approach, right? Where actually you just get the answer to the outcome. So that seems to me like if we're looking at ad revenue and AdWords and how Google might shoot themselves in the foot, then that clearly has to be the next step, doesn't it? Right? That funded model. Because I think we've seen it in the streaming world, and by no means have they got it right. I think that's a whole other can of worms. But I think that's, for me, quite logical. But yeah, I wanted to say that earlier. But yeah, I'm all good. I'm glad to be here. Sorry I haven't been here for a little while. But yeah, it's good to be back.
That's a good point. There is a potential for the disintermediation to completely undermine the entire, the dirty laundry underneath the current digital marketing, ecosystem.
Well, that speaks to the transparency. Is like, when are you getting a biased answer, and when are you getting accurate answers, and who's paying for the answer? And that needs to be transparent to the user, and currently it's not. So
yeah, but there's
you need the duck go of language models, right?
Boom.
Yeah, I mean that's one reason why I think they're doing all this recall stuff, because they're like, hey, if we have more information on the activities of people over time, then we can differentiate them from perhaps a bot, right? That may not operate the same way that a human would. So maybe that brings them more value, because they think we have a reasonable, deterministic way to determine that, okay, Leonard is a real person because of the way that he operates, right, on his system, that and a bot wouldn't do it that way. So maybe part of that, in addition to being just a very sneaky data grab, maybe part of that is also to say, hey, we're going to charge you more because we know that this guy is real based on the way he operates.
Yeah, boils down to trust. I mean, and you have all these companies now, Gen AI companies, big ones too, some of the biggest, going around talking about how they have a trusted AI chatbot or service. And you see, this is where I have a real big problem. I can't reconcile those claims with what the limitations of the technology. Like, for instance, vector databases, right? They're not accurate. They're not like a RDBMS, but then people don't understand that these things are not RDBMSs, right? Like relational databases that most people are familiar with. They just think, oh, hey, it's a vector database and it does these similarity embeddings and stuff like that, and it spits out the truth. And that's absolutely not the case. And This is like getting pretty out of control. You know,
if you want to make some quick money, launch your new vector database startup because you'll become a unicorn next week.
Yeah.
VectorDB.ai.
Yeah. Doesn't everyone know what a vector is? That's a vector in Java. It's an array list in other languages. That's how you make tables in a database. It's essentially a vector.
There you go.
Index.
Well, you got to give it a catchy name.
Vectors.
What's wrong with all these people?
VEKTOR. That's what you need. Vector.
Semantics.
Yeah. Hey, it looks like the hacker from Barcelona is here. I liked it.
Hey, there he is.
With your hood up, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. 3 smartwatches, no less.
Corroborating your personal
Are
data.
wearables still a thing?
Yes.
Or not
Maybe.
anymore?
The 90s and the quantified self is calling you back.
Yeah, they already solved that problem, Marc.
Marc, so we really need to know what was the final count of the attendees for the IoT World Congress in Barcelona? Was it 10 people? Was it 75? Was it 10,000? Did traffic come to a halt in Barcelona?
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us,
You
man.
know, I have a privileged vision, you know, from the top of everyone. So I could count now. So yeah, yesterday I visited the IoT Solution World Congress here in Barcelona. And yeah, I expected more people actually, but I don't know, maybe it's the first day. Today was the second day. Usually it's the main day. I didn't go, so I'm not sure. But yeah, a few thousands of people, but 10,000, I think it's very optimistic. And well, it's interesting. It's actually one hall, but like 1/3 of the hall, it's the
1/3 of the hall?
cybersecurity. 1/3 is a cybersecurity conference or congress or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it was super packed. So all the booths were super, so really next to the
Marc,
others on the
because
hall. And
you have all of the IoT peddlers coming to the middle to figure out how do I secure this thing that I shipped 6 months ago.
Yeah. What about
no. You know what? I was explaining to some people about, so they were asking, what is Valena? I was explaining, so if you do IoT, you will need to update the software and the operating system running on your IoT devices. And people was like, what?
Huh?
Yeah, of course I need that. I didn't
What?
have any clue that I need something like this. And I was like, what the hell?
I think they
And
jumped
today
into the
speaking-
IoT space last week.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know,
Welcome.
it's that
Actually,
just
someone
means-
came to me from the things. Sorry, David. Someone from the things industries, like, yeah, I have a gateway running on Balena since 5 years ago, and I was like, yeah, this is super cool, but then you have a security problem, right? So you need to update the operating system. You
Yeah.
need to-
Yeah.
You know, that's
update,
how
update
people-
your software.
This is how people think about generative AI at the moment. They don't consider that the models can have issues as they continue to learn and evolve.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't think it's
Well-
a cycle.
Well, the problem is the OT world has always operated. If it's not broken, don't touch it, right?
Right.
Don't update it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's that mindset. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, you know, there are security vulnerabilities that appear over time and you have to update your software constantly.
Well, 2 comments here, and I'll come back to the OT one from Eric. But back to the whole updating the device. This happens when you have companies that have capabilities and they can do things, but they haven't deployed and they haven't learned. They don't know that once I put that gateway on a field somewhere, and it cost me a lot of money for, the installation, that if I have to go back again in 12 years, I just made no money. But they don't know because they haven't deployed. And then the OT comment, I mean, I think Rockwell this week basically put out a press release, paraphrasing here. Hey, just because we put Ethernet on it doesn't mean you should be connecting it to the internet. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, but the ultimate in security is air gap.
Yeah.
The ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was speaking with a guy that it's an expert of PLCs. I didn't know him yesterday, and he said, yeah, so we might need this, but 80% of the products that we sell are Siemens, Rockwell, so they don't need that. They don't do that.
Interesting.
That's pretty sad.
There
That's
is
going to have to change.
You're right. We commonly hear about OT not updating firmware software because it's air gapped, and they were fine until those IT guys showed up and tried to connect to them, and then everything went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And just because you're updating some parts of your software there, I don't want to get the IT people off the hook just yet. I could talk for weeks on every giant company IT department that hasn't updated anything, and they try and they do whatever they can to not have to migrate or whatever. They want to run old stuff as long as they can. And IT gets a budget every year, right? The CIO gets a budget, and they want to use it on cool new stuff for the business. What they don't want to do is use it on old things or, modernizing systems.
Anything. Yeah. Well, talk about we go back to the mainframe, same thing. I'm not going to update my DB2 version or my CICS because why do it?
Right. Yeah. They just don't do it.
Isn't that why 5G, private 5G on a factory floor is going to save everything?
That's why. That's why.
Joker statement.
5G on the factory floor. If we could just find some robots that use 5G.
Yeah. We're going to wait for 6 and 7G.
Maybe 7G.
If they have Ethernet, that's enough, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll defend this. I'll defend this for a second. There are lots of factory environments that have a network that's for OT only, that one only could support that OT equipment, so there's no additional capacity without an upgrade, or B, they don't want to mess with it because it ain't broken, right? So now, I'm not advocating for private cellular, but the premise of a parallel network into that same site to run something else is there. And I think that a lot of arguments for private cellular do fit in here. The issue is that when you have a responsible bean counter that says, okay, hold on, how much is this parallel network going to cost me?
Yeah.
Versus, man, we could upgrade this circuit that's been here since 72, and we can just, transform the infrastructure. And then that's when the other thing doesn't take off, because you don't need necessarily two networks. You just need a network that supports all the things that you need to do. So anyway, you triggered me, Rob.
I'm here to trigger you. Hey, since you're the only guy wearing some kind of New York thing, does anyone remember? It was in the news probably in the last few years. I think it was talking about the New York subway system, like, hey, we're going to finally get off of OS 2 or something to that effect. Like the subway system was still being operated with OS 2.
And
that's
Bart,
just, and Bart too. That's just a classic example. It's like who knows who we're paying money to, because IBM won't support it anymore. I mean, this is real stuff. People like to not go back to stuff they built. They're just like, all right, we're done.
I did work on the BART system, OS2, small talk.
There you go.
Don't blame me though. It wasn't my fault. But
just like
this is why generative AI. This is why generative AI has been invented, right? To maintain OS2.
Yes.
Itself.
That's the quote of the day.
Just send me the manual every year. The manual that you produce.
No, think about all the COBOL guys we were grabbing out of retirement for Y2K. They were told this thing we're building on these mainframes or AS400s is a lifespan of 10 or 15 years. And then they're calling us and the lifespan's now been 25 and they better do this Y2K thing with the dates. And they're like, this was supposed to have been retired years ago. People don't retire old software. They keep running it forever if they can.
I did some work in New York when we were converting old COBOL. And this is not that long ago, by the way. And this young girl had this COBOL book. I'm like, wow, you're a COBOL programmer. And where'd you get this book? It was an ancient book. She's like, oh, that's Bob's book. And I go, where's Bob? Bob passed away last week.
Bob's dead.
And this stuff runs government agencies. This stuff runs banks. This stuff, enterprise modernization is what Clearblade used to do before we decided to jump into the exciting world of IoT.
Now, Eric, she probably went to the London Library, which I believe is the oldest library in the United Kingdom, and she grabbed that book from 1842 that said COBOL and brought it over. Hopefully they don't have to pay taxes to bring it in.
I found an older one. I went to the library in Alexandria in Egypt.
Sanskrit, COBOL Sanskrit.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, in scenarios like that, generative AI could be helpful, right?
Yes, for sure.
But you better, Bob better have written a very damn good FRD for that application. Otherwise, you can't test it, and you can't trust the Gen AI, right? But at least Gen AI can spit out some code that looks like it works.
Good thing most programmers document their code excellently.
Yeah.
So that was my experience. Everything is very well documented, structured, and well refactored.
I'm so glad that Eric's business is in the IoT space, but I can see Vegas odds makers kind of doing like Clearblade for COBOL, maintaining existing stuff, or Clearblade for IoT, which is going to be a better moneymaker.
I still think it's a coin flip on that one. I still think we will see. I've got a good friend who's still in the business, Synchrony Systems. So a plug for Synchrony. If you ever need to modernize your old COBOL at Smalltalk, talk to my friend Slavic Zorin.
There you go.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go. Boom.
I'm going to go get one of those books, Learn COBOL in 24 hours.
Yeah,
back to this, how do we modernize the trains here? I mean, do we just grab some infrastructure tax money? Because I know Steve loves to give away tax money. How about we send a bunch of people to other countries that have proper and clean train stations, pick your country, and then bring them back here so that we can get the train of the 21st century.
David, I was in Toronto last week for 3 days, and they had this new light rail system underground that is not working because they can't communicate any of the technology along the new rail tracks from station to station.
I mean,
paved on top. Everything is done on top. The stations are already done, but they're closed. They can't communicate wirelessly between stations.
Because they didn't use OS2.
That's it. Multitasking, preemptive.
Yeah, but
in Barcelona.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, in Barcelona, we had 1 week without train almost around the city because someone stole the copper. The copper of the connections of a town nearby, like 20 kilometers from Barcelona, like a lot of kilometers of copper.
Lots of people are stealing copper these days. Yeah.
Go to
in the US as well?
Yeah.
Right? Just like, forget it. Steal the copper, taking down the traffic lights. It's just a 4-way stop. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Well, there was an article in the last few days about a train that has been bricked. The way we talk about a smartphone being bricked to an update. And it took some hackers to get those trains running again, because this is the problem as we moved in the future. We're making everything so high tech, so many chips, so much software, so less just basic mechanical, that now it's a computer on wheels. And so, I forgot. It was in the last 2 days, a bricked train. It might have been multiple trains. And it was a bunch of hackers, outside hackers, that came in and did good hacking. To save the day.
And this is why OT people don't want to update software. Someone updated the software on the train and they bricked it.
They bricked the train. In the good old days, you would use a human being and they would just like push a button and it would go. And even if there was no copper, it would still work somehow.
Greyhound.
Yeah. And they would do the choo-choo and all that kind of stuff. People are good at things. It's amazing.
You gotta give it to these people that steal copper, because some of it is live wire. And it could, if Bill Pugh was here, he would say, it's good enough. Good enough to kill you, right?
Wait, is this like the Darwin Awards?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like somehow, I don't know what it is, but not enough of them are dying while stealing the copper. Therefore, it continues to happen.
Yeah.
We need to solution this.
Solution is, how about if you go arrest the people that are buying the copper?
Oh,
and work your way backwards. What do you think about that idea?
That is a slippery slope. Let's not go there on this show.
Yeah,
here we stay on the superficial problem. We don't go down into why the problem exists in the first place.
All right, guys. Looks like we got to wrap this up.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Debbie, thanks for jumping on. It's awesome to have you.
Yeah, thank you. This has been great. Illuminating as always.
Yeah, and hopefully next time you won't be in Samantha or her mode.
Yes.
Because we can't tell if you're real or not. For all we know, we're talking to ChatGPT.
That's right. That's right. A sassy black version of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Debbie just passed the Turing test on IoT Coffee Talk.
You could sue OpenAI if they use your likeness.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my goodness. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm happy I was able to jump in today.
Yeah, and all the time. So who wants to take us out? Look at David.
David,
go ahead and do it.
Folks, you make it to this part of the show, and every week the question of who's going to take us out, it's me. This is the only value I bring to this conversation. So if you've made it this far, we thank you for spending time with us on IoT Coffee Talk. We have people from all over the place, from London to Spain to Pete, who's in space, if you look at his tiny ML background. So a couple of reminders: do not make financial decisions based on anything you hear in this show. Past performance is not indicative of future success. Do not cut copper anywhere. It's bad for you. It's bad for the train system. And if you have any spare money and you want to help us close the digital divide, please remember elevateourkids.org. Every penny that we get goes there. We don't pay
give
for
the copper to the kids.
And if you steal copper, just donate the money.
There's our solution right there. Copper to the kids.
Yes, copper to the kids. So folks, with that, stay safe. Do not break your systems. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we will see you next week on another episode of IoT Coffee Talk. Peace.
Nice job. Nice job. That's impressive.
Look at that.